The Old Woman and the Fat Hen. There was once an old woman who kept a hen that laid one egg every morning without fail. The eggs were large and delicious, and the old woman was able to sell them for a very good price at market. If my hen would lay 2 eggs every day, she said to herself, I would be able to earn twice as much money. So every evening, the old woman fed the hens twice as much food. Each day, the old woman went to the hen house expecting to find 2 eggs, but there was still only 1. And the hen was getting fatter and fatter. One morning, the woman looked in the nest box, and there was no eggs at all. And there was none the next day, nor any day after that. All the extra food had made the hen so fat and contented that she had become lazy and had given up laying eggs altogether. And the moral of the story is, things don't always work out as planned. The Mice in Council. Once there was a large family of mice who lived in a big old house. Everything would have been perfect except for one thing, the cat who lived there too. Each time the mice crept into the kitchen to nibble a few crumbs, the cat would pounce and chase them after the floorboards. If you don't come up with a plan, soon we will starve, cried Grandfather Mouse. But the mice couldn't agree on a single idea. Finally, the youngest mouse had a brainwave. We could put a bell on the cat's collar so we can hear him coming, he suggested. All the mice thought that was an excellent plan. Then Grandfather Mouse stood up. You are a very smart young fellow to come up with such an idea, he said. But tell me, who is going to be brave enough to put a bell on a cat's collar? And the moral of the story is, it is sometimes easy to think of a clever plan, but it can be much more difficult to carry out. Mermaids Treasure. One morning, Pearl the mermaid was playing around the reef when she spotted a large sea chest among the coral. She swam closer. It must be fallen out of the ship, she exclaimed. I wonder what's inside. But when she tried to lift the lid, she found it was locked. Oh, bother, Pearl muttered. Now I want to look inside even more. She tried to force the lid open with a clamshell, but it wouldn't budge. So she asked her biggest, strongest friends for help. Shark tried to bite the hole in it. Octopus wrapped his tentacles around the chest and tried to squeeze it open. Whale tried to crush in it with his weight. It's no use, sighed Pearl. We will never get it open. May I try? Said a squeaky voice in her ear. Pearl turned and saw a tiny shrimp no bigger than her fingernail. She smiled at him. How could you someone so small open the chest? Of course you may, she said politely. The little shrimp wriggled through the keyhole. Pearl, Shark, Octopus and Whale watched as she reached into the lock with his spindly legs. Then there was a loud click and the chest unlocked. The shrimp swam out looking very pleased with himself. Well done, cried Pearl. Slowly she lifted the lid. The chest was full of men's clothes. Pearl sat back and laughed loudly. Some poor sailor had lost his luggage, she chuckled. I suppose it will be treasure to him. She looked at her friends and laughed again. Don't look so disappointed, she went on. We might not have gold or jewels, but we've made a very clever friend. And the little pink shrimp blushed bright red. Magpie's nest. Long ago, the other birds wanted to know how magpies build their nests. Gather round and I will teach you, cried Magpie. First of all, she took some mud and made a round bowl shape. Ah, so that's how it's done, squawked Thrush, flying away. And today, that's how thrushes build their nests. Next, Magpie twined some twigs around the mud. Now I know all about it, tweeted Sparrow, and off he flew, and that's how sparrows make their nest to this very day. Then Magpie lined the nest with feathers. Oh, that suits me, chirped Starling, and off she went. And that's why starlings have very comfortable nests. At each step another bird flew away. By the time Magpie got to the last stage, all the birds had gone. Magpie laughed. I will never show them again. And that is why birds and build the nest differently. I had a little nut tree. Nothing would it bear, but a silver nutmeg and a golden pear. The king of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all for the sake of my little nut tree. The apple tree. Here is a tree with leaves so green, there are apples that hang between. When the wind blows, the apples fall. Here is a basket to gather them all. The cherry tree. Once I found a cherry stone, I put it in the ground, and when I came to look at it, a tiny shoot I found. The shoot grew up and each every day, and soon became a tree. I picked the rosy cherries then, and ate them for my tea. The sparkly princess and the pea. Once upon a time, there lived the most sparklastic princess ever. Her name was Glitterbell. Glitterbell loved anything glittery, shimmery, and purple. She also loved playing with her friends and climbing trees. But there was something that Glitterbell definitely did not love, and that was peas. She thought they were squishy, gross, and very green. How do you know you don't like peas if you won't even try them? Asked King Alfie one dinner time. We love them. In fact, we owe our kingdom to peas. It's how your great-great-great-grandpa found your great-great-great-grandma, added Queen Lizzie. Remember the famous fairy tale? Yes, I know, said Glitterbell with a sigh. It's the one where great-great-great-grandma had to prove to everyone she was a real princess by filling one tiny pea under 20 mattresses. That's it, grinned King Alfie, and we have still got that very same pea. It will be yours someday. Glitterbell looked at the dried-up pea proudly sitting in a dusty glass case. Yuck, she groaned. Just then Glitterbell's best friend Dazzlina, the witch and Angel, the ballerina, came round to play at the palace. Sighing, Glitterbell told her friends how much she hated peas. It must be the first princess ever not to like them, she said. Maybe I'm not really a princess after all. Well, you do like climbing trees, said Angel thoughtfully. And racing round on your scooter, added Dazzlina. They are not very princessy things to do. I knew it, cried Glitterbell. I'm different to fairy tale princesses. We're only teasing you, laughed Dazzlina. We love you whether you're fairy tale princesses or a scruffy tree climbing one, added Angel with a smile. Thanks, replied Glitterbell, but I don't feel like any kind of princess right now. After her friends had left, Glitterbell was still feeling sad. What's wrong? Asked Queen Lizzie at the bedtime. I am not a proper princess, cried Glitterbell. I don't act like one or look like one. I'm too mean to be a princess. Oh, Glitterbell, said Queen Lizzie, you are a proper princess just by being you. She hugged her daughter. It will seem all better in the morning, I promise. After her bath, Glitterbell went downstairs to drink some hot cocoa. Meanwhile, Queen Lizzie had an idea. She could prove to Glitterbell that she really was a princess. Smiling, the queen popped something small, round and green under the mattress on Glitterbell's bed. That night, Glitterbell tossed and turned. She barely slept a wink. The next morning, Glitterbell woke up, aching all over. As she climbed out of the bed, a small green pea rolled out from under her mattress. The princess picked it up and knew at once why she hadn't been able to sleep. The tiny pea proved that Glitterbell was a fairy tale princess after all, just like the one in famous story. Mom, Dad, Glitterbell shouted, racing downstairs. Look, this lovely pea proves I'm a real princess. We always knew you were, smiled the queen, as well as being your special Glitterbell princess, of course. Glitterbell beamed at her mom, then looked at the pea. Maybe peas aren't so bad after all, she said. The king and queen laughed. I think we should have a party to celebrate, said the king, and all of her Grizzlebear's friends and family were invited. Later, when everyone sat down to a tasty banquet, Grizzlebear spotted a green cake. It had been made with a special ingredient, peas. Grizzlebear ate at her slice and smiled. "This pea green cake is delicious," she said. "You are a real fairy tale princess now," giggled Dazzlina. "Of the Grizzlebear King," added Angel. Elsies Aeroplane. Elsie was a pilot. Her little airplane was very old and quite slow, but Elsie didn't care. She loved flying up into the bright blue sky. One sunny day, Elsie hurried to airfield when her little airplane lived. She and her friends were going to have a race in the different kinds of flying machine. One friend flew an airliner, another had a seaplane, the third had a rocket, and the last one had a jet. Each of them thought that they would be the fastest. "Your slow old airplane will come last," her friend said. But Elsie felt sure that her little airplane could do anything. Elsie topped up the fuel and climbed into the cockpit. The 5 flying machines took off together, but they didn't stay together for long. Jet zoom ahead. The airliner climbed high into the sky and the rocket zigzagged around as if it were playing tag. Even the seaplane was going faster than Elsie. "Don't worry," said Elsie, patting her little airplane. "I believe in you." Suddenly, Elsie saw the airliner turn around and head back to the airfield. "I forgot to top up on fuel," said the pilot in this crackly radio. Then the jet zoomed off in the wrong direction. Elsie tried to tell him, but he was going too fast to listen. The rocket flew higher and higher and ended up in space. "Only us left now," said the pilot of the seaplane. But just then the pilot saw a lake and couldn't resist practicing a water landing. With a cheer, Elsie guided her little airplane over the finish line and won the race. "We did it!" she cried. 3 cheers for the oldest, best little airplane in the world.